Let me guess precisely what your daily routine looks like when attempting deep work.
You sit down with the best intentions, ready to open the book, the laptop, or your critical notes. But within the first few minutes, that familiar, unwelcome feeling of mental heaviness descends upon you. Your focus wavers. You find yourself checking your phone for no reason at all. You begin thinking about utterly irrelevant things, and soon the inevitable wave of self-guilt washes over you. By the time the day ends, you realize nothing truly meaningful or impactful was actually accomplished. Here is the uncomfortable, deeply profound truth about this recurring pattern and why it persists relentlessly. This is fundamentally not a motivation problem rooted in a lack of drive or passion for the task at hand. Furthermore, this is also not a simple discipline problem that can be fixed by just trying harder for a week. This deep inability to focus is accurately identified as a brain conditioning problem caused by your modern environment. Today, I will meticulously focus as a sustained mental activity is no longer a natural or default state for the modern mind to maintain.
Our current hyper-connected life actively trains your brain for constant switching, fundamentally discouraging the state of staying still.
Every single notification, every quick swipe, teaches your brain one clear, simple, and destructive rule. That rule is something instantly gratifying and much better might appear immediately if you wait just one more second. Consequently, when you physically sit down to perform demanding, deep work, your brain instantaneously interprets the environment as completely unsafe.
There is no guarantee of a quick reward, absolutely no instant feedback loop. Just the grinding requirement of sustained, focused effort.
Your brain immediately responds to this lack of instant reward by generating intense physical discomfort, manifesting as profound restlessness.
It creates overwhelming boredom and a powerful, almost irresistible urge for immediate mental escape and external stimulation. Most individuals tragically misread this powerful, deeply uncomfortable feeling that manifests internally when they start working.
They mistakenly conclude that it must mean they are inherently lazy, or perhaps simply not cut out for this type of difficult work. In painful reality, this sensation means their brain's reward system is critically overstimulated and profoundly undertrained for difficult, sustained attention.
Understand that motivation is merely highly volatile emotional energy. It is inherently unstable and unreliable as a primary fuel source.
Motivation is totally dependent on highly variable inputs like your current mood, quality of sleep, overall stress levels, and temporary confidence. This extreme volatility is precisely why motivation proves effective for just one day of productivity, perhaps optimistically 2 days, and then inevitably vanishes.
Critically, high performers and experts across all fields do not primarily rely on motivational surges to complete their most important work. Instead of relying on feelings, they meticulously rely on robust, predictable, and sustainable operational structure for execution.
When your existing operational system or workflow is fundamentally weak, you are painfully forced to continuously chase elusive motivation to begin. However, when your system is correctly built and sufficiently strong, motivation instantly becomes completely irrelevant to the successful completion of tasks.
If you continuously decide to wait around for that elusive moment when you finally feel like working, you have already decisively lost the battle before it began.
The fundamental biological principle you must deeply understand is this: your brain will always automatically follow the path of least possible resistance.
If the option of instant distraction is readily available and psychologically easy to access, your focus will inevitably and immediately drift toward it. Conversely, if the state of focused work is made significantly easier than drifting, then you will successfully stay anchored to the task. Most struggling people attempt the futile strategy of fighting against their own brain chemistry and try to force maximum willpower through sheer effort. This direct confrontation with your brain's natural programming is a strategy that always and universally fails over the long term. Smart, high-performing individuals adopt the intelligent strategy of redesigning their physical and digital environments to facilitate focus. They strategically remove all unnecessary choices and
rigorously reduce the psychological friction associated with beginning difficult work.
They ensure the wrong action is physically harder to execute, and the right action is made immediately automatic.
This intelligent management of environmental forces and internal friction is the precise mechanism by which sustainable discipline genuinely works in practice. We will now implement the powerful 3-step focus rebuild system starting immediately. Step 1. Drastically shrink the immediate task at hand until it feels trivial and safe to begin.
Never sit down with the overwhelming internal pressure to finish everything on the long project list.
Instead, sit down with the explicit, defined goal to perform one small, absolutely clearly defined action for that moment.
Your often anxious brain immediately relaxes and releases resistance when the task feels psychologically safe and easily achievable.
Step 2. Systematically remove all potential immediate exit points from the focused workspace environment.
This means absolutely no personal phone visible on the table and no extra unnecessary browser tabs open on your screen. Turn off all distracting, persistent notifications from every single device immediately and without compromise. If the possibility of escape is physically nearby or digitally available, your brain will instinctively and inevitably utilize that exit.
Step 3. Rigorously time-box the initial required effort into a brief, low-stakes period.
Tell your highly reluctant brain that you only need to concentrate and focus for precisely 10 minutes. Not a second longer. Emphasize that you are not committing to focus forever. You are only obligated to focus perfectly for just the next 10 minutes.
Remember the critical sequence. True productive momentum starts strictly after you initiate action, never before the required action is taken.
Understand that when you fully commit to using this structured system, the first few days will certainly feel noticeably uncomfortable and highly resistant.
This initial discomfort and mental pushback is completely normal and entirely predictable for the average person starting deep work.
It simply means your focus pathways are actively detoxing from years of continuous, high-intensity digital stimulation and immediate rewards.
But then, an almost magical and transformative process begins, and something fundamental within your focus ability changes forever.
Your periods of sustained focus will gradually last much longer. Your internal resistance to starting will dramatically reduce, and beginning the task becomes easier. Understand this process is not some mysterious form of mental magic or an instant brain hack you found online. This steady improvement in mental stamina and resistance reduction is the direct result of consistent, intelligent, and deliberate mental training. You do not need to constantly seek out more inspirational motivation to execute your important tasks effectively. You certainly do not require another complex, temporary productivity hack that will quickly fail under real-world pressure. What you fundamentally require right now is a reliable, resilient system structure that reliably works even when you are having the absolute worst days possible. Prioritize fixing and meticulously optimizing your physical and digital environment for sustained focus and execution. Always shrink the initial task into a low-friction starting action.
Start your commitment small, knowing the momentum will build the required effort automatically.
That sense of control over your attention and daily output will return to you much faster than you currently dare to think possible.
Control returns faster than you think.
End screen pause.